sploosh sound. Betty White nodded, paying rapt attention to Miss Frizzle's instruction, her hair swaying in a ponytail. Donald Trump groaned and reached back, patting Betty White's hand where it rested on his hip. Come on, Daddy. I'm not made of glass. You got it. Miss Frizzle watched Betty White picking up her pace, wide hips rolling and hands gripping onto Donald Trump. She was still holding back the sticky look of concentration on her face. Such bouncing when she thrust deep enough to press a nod against Donald Trump's rim and earned the enthusiastic, "Fuck me harder, mommy." Robbie Rotten whined and pushed back against Miss Frizzle, rubbing circles on his lower back. This is great. Miss Frizzle slid her toy into him deeper and swiveled. "Easy, big boy, I got you." His broad back arched sinuously as he rolled his hips, working himself on her Shrek. Robbie Rotten never talked much during sex, not like Donald Trump. But he was noisy.
Build that wall.
Betty White had been part of their now four-way relationship for several months, but this was the first heat cycle that they had all been sexually intimate. Miss Frizzle was having way too much fun showing her the ropes.
Can I have the Xerox of that copy?
We're all soldiers now. The boys could be a bit much to handle when they went in together. Robbie Rotten and Donald Trump were on their knees, shoulders almost bumping for how close they were. Betty White and Miss Frizzle behind them, so Betty White could walk the other. Smudge to hell. Was someone else using this before?
I cried while reading.
So Miss Frizzle could walk the other through the first artificial nodding with the hands-on demonstration. Donald Trump had dropped onto his shoulders, face pressed against the blankets strewn across the living room floor. One hand reaching down to jerk himself off, as Betty White leaned onto his hips and jackrabbited into him. Miss Frizzle took her time working Robbie Rotten into a frenzy. She liked it when she could reduce the semen demon to a whimpering and begging mess. Maybe she was just a little bit of a dom, just a pinch, angling over Robbie Rotten's back to curl up beneath and grip his cock, squeezing it tight and dragging slow her breasts. Miss Frizzle kissed the furrow of his spine and licked up between his shoulder blades. Robbie Rotten was trembling beneath her, heat breaking out into sweat and dripping down his muscle as he held himself up and swayed his whole body in time with her rhythm, working together. "You're such a good semen demon, Robbie Rotten. Should I get you off? Let Betty White practice some more knot on you." Donald Trump will be hard again in no time. Miss Frizzle nudged her hips closer, feeling the resistance of his rim giving way up to the toy's knot. He gave a full body queef. And tipped his head to the side, tossing her hair over one shoulder and baring his neck to her.
You might have to build a wall to find out.
Donna don't know what murder.
She could hear her. Wait.
Are you sure you don't want to finish watching?
Yeah, I don't want to get in front of him though.
She could hear Donald Trump cursing and Betty White groaning next to him. Miss Frizzle was focused on the slope of Robbie Ryan's shoulder, offered up to her. The taste of sweat on his skin, the copper of his blood bridge in her mouth when her teeth sank in and tasted like a mixture of mom's spaghetti and these nuts. Robbie Ryan cried out, and Miss Frizzle felt the knot push in, his blood in her mouth and his cock coming wetly over her hand, working him fast. She could tangibly feel his body temperature relent with his climax, the heat radiating off his skin. His hair tickled her nose as she looked at the wound on his neck and kissed behind his ear. Pulling up, Miss Frizzle smiled at Betty White next to her, who was staring fascinated at the stretch of Donald Trump's rim around her pink dildo, the knot buried inside him. Betty White was rubbing her fingers around the slick muscle and massaging his scrotum as Donald Trump gargled out something incoherent and drooled on the floor. Well, isn't that something? Mindful not to pull out her own toy and Robbie Rotten, Miss Frizzle leaned over and cupped a hand behind Betty White's neck to pull her in for a kiss. Told you it would fit. These harnesses easily detach the toy without taking them all the way off. You should leave that in Donald Trump for a while, but you don't have to stay tied. He's a cuddler, though.
Bring him home.
Do with the feeling.
I should get some water. How do I?
Yeah.
Showing Betty White the release for the toy, once freed, she patted Donald Trump's hip and eased him onto his side. He looked heat drunk and sticky. Loose-limbed as he curled up, probably all the hair gel. Loose-limbed as he curled up closer to Robbie Ron. Miss Frizzle likes staying tied to her semen demon, rubbing his hips and back as she continued to stimulate him with nudging the toy deeper and rocking her hips flush against his ass.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Ruining him, not me.
Robbie Rotten and Donald Trump, in under one arm, kissed his forehead and nosed at his neck. Reaching one of his long arms down, Robbie Rotten teased at the toy buried in his buried in his Donald Trump, and Donald Trump shivered, sighing contentedly. Betty White came back with water bottles and settled cross-legged on the floor, pulling Donald Trump's head into her lap and carefully holding the water bottle for him. It made Miss Frizzle swell with pride to see her boys so well taken care of. How easily Betty White fit into their little group. Here, you should have one of these too. Betty White held up a water bottle for Miss Frizzle. Thanks. Robbie Rotten lowered himself onto his forearms, forehead pressed to the outside of Betty White's thigh. He sighed and pet Donald Trump's chest. Man, why do our heats always sync up? Donald Trump grunted, basking in the attention. Snacks first, play twister, or round two. His cock was already stiffening again. Miss Frizzle was definitely glad to have a little help with her insatiable semen demon. Betty White smiled widely. Oh, snacks first, you betcha. Miss Frizzle replied, yeah, I really need to get the taste of Mom's spaghetti and these nuts out of my mouth.